Welcome to Fast Effect Double Speed Magic the Gathering from ELD's Time Vault Games Discord, as we are playing live over the internet every Wednesday and Friday. This is actually a record-breaking event for us here. We always cap it at 4 rounds, but almost in 5-round territory. Of course, at that point, we just have a couple of undefeated players at the end. We give out 100% of the entry fees, as well as a ton of promo cards. A lot of events, everyone who plays ends up getting a promo. This is the current stack of promos, which will soon be upgraded with an influx of cards from Ikoria and Core 21. I'll do an opening of those shortly on the channel. And Europost versus a deck unknown, a Green Sun Zenith. Oh, this is going to be a Maverick build. I actually remember this match now. We had some technical difficulties with table number 1. So Mark and I actually jumped on the table. Make sure that we could get a round filmed, just in case the results of the technical difficulties were not easily taken care of. We've got a Cloud Post off of Once Upon a Time. And that Green Sun Zenith finding a Dryad Arbor. Maverick benefits so much from having that Mana Dork on turn 1. Of course, Green Sun Zenith very good as a toolbox card later on, but having that acceleration is just crucial. Oh, and one of the worst nightmares for this deck, a Knight of the Reliquary. That guy is going to be able to tutor up a stream of wastelands, turning every forest or plains that Mark has into a potential detriment for Europost. Wasteland, very, very good against the deck, to the point where some builds actually run a full play set of Pithing Needles just to try and not get their mana base destroyed. It's just such a setback. Now, there are some things that you can do to kind of counteract that. Crop Rotation is an excellent response to Wasteland. And of course, if you get an Elvish Reclaimer online, it does make wastelanding much, much more difficult, as long as you can play a patient game. But, you know, Knight of the Reliquary doesn't necessarily make it too easy to play carefully. 3 mana. And a Green Sun Zenith. It's going to be X equals 1 or 2. It's going to be 1. So Elvish Reclaimer. But here with just a single Wasteland for turn and a activation of Knight of the Reliquary, we could be back to just a single land here. The shields are down. Okay, so mercifully no Wasteland for turn. But the Knight can still make that happen. Mark with access to all 4 Wastelands, just with the lands on board. Now, it is worth noting the main deck Bojuka Bog could be a problematic card. Shrinking the graveyard. And thus knocking the Knight of the Reliquary back to a 2/2. Which is, you know, smaller than the Elvish Reclaimer once he levels up. Just 3 lands in the graveyard required to make that Elvish Reclaimer a 3/4. Very respectable stats for the 1 casting cost creature. And Wasteland taking out a Cloud Post. That is always going to be the primary target. One of the things I love about Cloud Post is it progresses along a line that humans just aren't set up to. Oh, and Kaya Ghost something, Usurper, Assassin. This Planeswalker actually lines up really well. The minus ability going to exile permanents, non-land permanents that cost 1 or less. So, take your pick. You want Elvish Reclaimer, Candelabra of Tawnos, Pithing Needle. I actually don't know how people are supposed to say that. Let me know in the comments. Spell that out phonetically how you guys actually pronounce that in your region. But this Kaya going to be an absolute disaster. She's going to be able to exile this Elvish Reclaimer, who's really the only thing holding things together at all for Europost. This Knight of the Reliquary is just going to be able to wreak havoc moving forward. But Cloudpost progresses exponentially, which is just not the way that human brains work. Like, we just don't have the capacity. We have to, like, invent math to be able to understand that. Like, if you just said, hey, take, this die and then double the amount of dice and then just keep doing that for, like, 20 iterations, 30, 40, 50 iterations, how many would you have? Like, humans just don't have the ability to just like project out. We have to like actually do the math. It could be as much as Massachusetts, like if you stack them, like it could be all the way around the country, all the way around the world to the moon. Like it's not obvious. Like you actually have to sit down and calculate it out. And that's one of the things about Cloudpost is it's just sneaky. Like you have to be familiar with it, or you have to like do the math, because just out of nowhere, you'll have like 3 cloud posts. You'll have a couple of cloud posts, you'll crop rotate, get a third one during the end step, you untap, you play a candelabra, and it's just like how much mana is that? It's like it's a mess. Like you got to like actually math it out. And certainly that colorless mana has plenty of great uses for Europost. I mean, you've got Eye of Ugin to tutor up all sorts of nasty Eldrazi, and the new edition Golos has been quite solid. We've got a Cascading Cataract, allowing for a Sylvan Library. And this card could possibly start to offset this Wasteland Barrage, but Kaya exiling cards from the graveyard. Not that there's going to be any more Elvish Reclaimers thanks to this Chalice at 1. Chalice at 1 is just so brutal. Once upon a time. And that's the thing, is like this deck doesn't really have to care as much about Chalice, but that is kind of how I've got it built right now. A Glimmer Post comes down, adding 3 extra mana. 1 for itself, and then ramping up those other 2 Cloud Posts. So 9 mana total. And Ulamog could be nice. 1 more land and then an Ulamog. Knight of the Reliquary. Attacking, but then also getting untapped after damage. Glimmer Post for Candelabra. Oh, I remember this play. Let me know what you guys think about this. So I play Candelabra. He's got a Chalice at 1. It's a really cool Magic card. And he actually says yes. Give him a chance to take it back. But, I mean, he's just like, yeah, I mean, I said yes. It's a really cool card. I was excited to see it. And it looks like there's going to be opportunity here to find a way back. I mean, there was no chance outside of a missed trigger. This Candelabra getting some more mana, now tutoring. Grabbing a Wasteland. Wasteland taking out Eye of Ugin in response to the search. And now grabbing Golos. And he grabs another Glimmer Post, gaining some life to stay outside of the range of Kaya, as her ability is going to be very close to lethal here. Her minus ability, her ultimate, is going to deal damage equal to the number of cards in exile, which is fast approaching my life total. Golos gonna have to bite the dust here. Now, he would have been very interesting with that Cascading Cataract, ripping 3 cards off the top. It's a fun mode for that card. Very rarely have I found it to be the optimal mode, though. And still pretty far behind here, but with access to a lot of mana. Eight, 9. So getting a green or blue. Activating Candelabra. A bunch more mana. Oh, an Emrakul. Emrakul getting an extra turn. And this is pretty rough here. Mark can get a Karakas, but that won't really help. He needs to be able to get like a Karakas and a Wasteland to be able to try and prevent the mana. Oh, and now Green Sun Zenith. This all unraveled with this Candelabra. Just a glimmer of hope that's been held on to now. And ultimately getting now a Primeval Titan. Looks like I actually got the lands before the prime time. Did I? Yeah, I forgot to grab the Titan. He's like incidental at this point. But I do actually need to get him out of the deck. You're not allowed to leave him in there for the next Green Sun. And now Knight of the Reliquary is going to go get likely a Karakas, but I mean, it's just not going to matter. Infinite turns have been assembled here. Along with that Karakas, Emrakul can just be bounced and replayed every turn. Literally doesn't even matter what Mark's life total is. That is going to do it. And yeah, that is just brutal. Yeah, no way out of that. Picking up game number 1 in what has to be an awful matchup for Cloudpost. I mean, Knight of the Reliquary is horrifying. Just horrifying. And I wouldn't be surprised at all to see Mark having, a Ramunap Excavator as another Green Sun Zenith target to just get extra use out of those wastelands. It's just an awful lot for a Cloudpost deck to try and contend with. We'll see as Mark hits the sideboard. I don't believe I'm going to have too much to really help out here. I mean, it's a pretty abysmal matchup. All right, so Mark mulling a bit. That Gold Ranger playmat. I was actually totally unfamiliar with that. I do like the story of the Power Rangers, like the real world Saban story. Never was into the show. I was quite a bit past my time. But I'm sure I would have liked it if it came out when I was younger. More of a He-Man fan myself. Thundercats. Looney Tunes. Watched a lot of TV. Not too much fireworks here from Europost. And already a Wasteland and a Knight of the Reliquary. Three mana. Oh, and for another Knight. That's no bueno. A Blast Zone has been discarded to that Mox Diamond, already pumping these Knights, and we're just looking at a couple of turns in order to survive this. Now a Green Sun Zenith X equals 1 grabs the Elvish Reclaimer, but I mean, this does not feel particularly likely to offer the type of resistance you're going to need to stand up to this pair of Knights. Maybe a Pithing Needle. And really, even if you have a Pithing Needle, oh my gosh, Abrupt Decay taking out the Elvish Reclaimer. Even if you have a Pithing Needle, it's like, do you name Wasteland? Do you name Knight of the Reliquary? They're all huge problems. I guess you have to go with Wasteland and then hope to like Bojuka Bog to set them back to just be smaller creatures. That is at least a line that could potentially result in something other than a swift death. Fetching a Verdant Catacombs, which is sacked to just pump the whole team and establish a 2-turn clock. Meddling Mage. Why not? Going with crop rotation, protecting from the potential. It wouldn't even be a blowout. It would just be like a tempo play. Wasteland not being a total disaster would still mean that it's a 2-turn clock. So this Meddling Mage looks like it's cutting off all possible glimmers of hope. And double fetching into lethal range. And they're showing a pair of crop rotations, so interesting how good that Meddling Mage was there. I mean, it seemed like a losing endeavor anyways, but that Meddling Mage just crushing any possibility, stopping those 2 crop rotations from being of any use. I'm not actually sure what I want to do with this list. People seem to like it, which is cool. I don't win with it as much as I win with anything else. I don't know. I don't feel like I play my best Magic with it. I definitely, after almost every match, feel like I could have played better. Which is okay. Like, it's definitely good if I'm improving. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to make of Europost. I'm probably going to try out the mono green build. Really what it loses is Brainstorm. I mean, that's the card in this deck. It's so freaking good. There are so many games where you just Brainstorm, and it's like an Ancestral. You're just cashing cards out of your hand that are just not of help at the time and drawing into just the goods. Turn 1 here, a Cloud Post. Not typically how the deck wants to start, but there are a few aggressive lines where multiple Cloud Posts early can be really strong on the play. Once Upon a Time. See a Karakas and another Cloud Post. And yeah, potentially going to be untapping with like 7, or with a Glimmer Post could have access to like 7 mana. Mark with no acceleration on his turn 1. That Green Sun Zenith for 0, so important to Maverick to keep up with any of the faster decks. A turn 2 Knight of the Reliquary, just night and day from coming out on turn 3 and then activating on turn 4. A Chalice at 1 on turn 2. Mox Diamond also an important part of the acceleration package. And Glimmer Post now up to 7 mana for a Golos. This is just so much mana. 13. And another Locust will actually just allow for any of the Eldrazi to be cast. Already Ulamog castable. Wasteland taking out one of those Cloud Posts and a Sylvan Library. Fetching for a Tropical Island. Oh, and Green Sun Zenith, X equals 6. It is prime time. And Cloud Post just too fast here on the play. A Wasteland and a Chalice. Just not enough to stop this prime time And I mean, that has to be it. I don't even know what Mark could have that could salvage this situation. A mana away from, even Armageddon would be something, but then you're still dead to the 9 damage on board. This is just a complete horror show. Sylvan Library, allowing for some extra cards to be drawn, but these bodies way too big for Abrupt Decay. And the damage from Primetime already done, but when he turns sideways again, I mean, it's just unreasonable. So much acceleration and potentially life gain at this point. I mean, it's difficult to imagine a way for Mark to get back in, but I would think that life gain would also make that even more impossible, if there is such a thing. A Knight of the Reliquary, which will be big enough to block Golos. Already, just a ridiculous amount of mana. Grabbing a couple of Glimmer Posts, perhaps? No, a Caracas. So, gonna gain 6 life, and also have the Caracas online. Eye of Ugin. I'm actually kind of surprised Eye of Ugin wasn't grabbed. Maybe it's in hand? Oh, and just casting Emrakul. There we go. So Eye of Ugin not necessary, as you already having the Eldrazi means that Caracas would be infinite turns no matter what. No tricks to be had. No cards in Magic get you out of that situation, as that is just too much on the play. Too much acceleration from Cloudpost. That card, man, does it create some wild board states. That is all for this one, but don't worry, there is a lot more. You can check out our older videos, and we're always putting out new videos from ELD's Time Vault Games in Bellingham, Massachusetts. If you want to help the channel, of course, you can like, subscribe, share, tap that notification bell so you can know the next time our new videos come out. Thanks for watching.